number 16 Baylor. The game's at 2:30 on Saturday. The game's going to be in Baylor. Oklahoma State's undefeated 3-0. Baylor's 3-1. FPI has Baylor favored by 65%. Vegas has Baylor favored by 2 with an over/under 56.5. And we're going to get to the breakdown of both teams at the end and go with who I'm taking in the football game. And first one to get in Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State is undefeated. There's no secret how I like to get the football down the football field. They got a very good quarterback in Spencer Sanders. 10 touchdowns, 1 interception, 65% completion rate. I think he's more of a dual threat quarterback, even though his stats don't really scream. Dual threat. He's got 27 carries for 110 yards, but this man just seems to be able to, run the ball at like the right time. And I think he's got not the fastest of foot, but I think he's got that sneaky good, speed to be able to, catch defenses by surprise at times. And, obviously his main priority is he wants to sling the football down the field. He's not trying to take off in every play, but he can certainly burn you with a couple of design, quarterback runs. So he's somebody definitely got to, watch out for. And, at certain points of the game, maybe even command a spy on him. And his favorite target, though, too, is Braden Johnson. He's got 14 catches, 300 yards, average 21 yards a catch with 3 touchdown passes. And this team, when it comes to offense, is just very dynamic. They might be probably the best offense in the Big 12, if not, one of the best offenses in the whole entire country. And if there's a kink in the armor of this offense, though, it's that on third down, they're really not too good about converting. I got a 39% conversion rate, 15 to 38 for third down, and then 0 for 1 on fourth down. So I think if you can get this team into some third down scenarios, you might have a chance to get them off the football field. Certainly that's the area they definitely need to improve at. Their rushing attack is not, not terrible either. I wouldn't say it's like one of the best. I mean, they get their yards because they just, are so good at throwing the ball around through the air. And as a defense, you got to, really respect the passing game that, these running backs are capable of getting some, sneaky good yards in there. And for all the good I talk about their offense, their defense really has some work to do. As you can, we'll take a look at their last, 5 games. You can see that Central Michigan put up 44 points on them, and they had no trouble moving the football down the field. And even at one point, Oklahoma State put up like a 20-something point lead. Like they were, they had done really put the game out of reach. But Central Michigan was just still moving the football down the field. Like if you go back and watch any highlights of that game, it was not easy on the Oklahoma State defense at all. And then against Arizona State, you got, Emory Jones came over from Florida as their quarterback, and they were still able to move the football down the football field. That was kind of the Emory Jones being Emory Jones in that game for him. Like Arizona State, at times made it look easy moving the ball. Then Emory Jones would, do something not very smart, and it would kind of stall. But still, Oklahoma State gave up a lot of yards in that game. And then, in their last game, they only gave up 7 points. So they kind of righted the ship. But they didn't really, play nobody. But I think as far as offenses go, Baylor's going to be the best offense they played up to this point. And, yeah, that's going to take me into Baylor. And I think Baylor's offense is, low-key very good. They're led by Blake Shapen, their quarterback. 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, 69% completion. If you just watch him throw in his games, he don't really like to force the ball and everything. He's very good about keeping his eyes down the field, always looking for the open receiver. Sometimes I think he might even try to hold on to the ball too long. He's already taken 8 sacks this year. And I don't really think that's a product of the offensive line. I think that's just a product of him trying to, find a target down the field. And, maybe sometimes he just needs to run out and throw it away and live to see another day. But he's not somebody that's going to just make a mistake that's going to really just kill you in the football game. Very good game manager. He's not afraid to, if he has a matchup he likes down the field, to be able to sling it, 20, 30 yards down the field. And their rushing attack is very solid, led by Reese and Williams. And if there's one knocking the armor on the run game, I thought against Iowa State, I couldn't tell if they was trying to run a veer or an outside zone, but they ran pretty much the same concept of like 15, 16 times. That didn't really seem to be working for them. And I thought they should have really worked on getting the ball more, straight up the field instead of trying to stretch the defense out wide. So if there's something maybe, for a rushing attack, I like to see them quit trying to go more sideline to sideline and maybe start going a little bit more north and south, as I think, their running backs are capable of, being able to get those yards. And they got one of the best offensive lines in the country. So put that line to use and start getting the ball at the football field a little bit. And their receivers saw, Gavin Holmes averaging 22.4 yards a catch. This team can be very dynamic at times. I'd probably say the best team they played to date was BYU on the road. Their offense didn't really show up too much in that game. It, only scored 20 points in a double overtime. But BYU is one of the, top teams in the Pac-12, and then, of course, Iowa State on the road. So this team's a little more battle tested when it comes to, competition. They've already, had to play two hard-fought road games. Iowa State was, undefeated when they came in there. And, Baylor's defensive line, I think, is, one of the best in the country. And, they're going to be led by Siaki Ika, came over from LSU. And he's been very good for him. This man he doesn't really get the numbers, excuse me, to justify what actually he does. But this man just impacts play after play after play. Like he's always moving the, guard right back into the quarterback or almost there. I think at some point before the year's over, his stats are going to start even out. You'll see him with like 4 or 5 sacks, and he's only got 1 tackle to date. But this man just does so much more than what he gets credit for. It's like I think he's one of the best in the country, and I think that might make all the difference in the football game. The game's going to be in Baylor. Oklahoma State already showed they have an issue with third downs, and I can see Baylor, his defensive line really generating some pressure on him. And, could force that key throw, before Spencer Sanders might be ready to, or, get a key sack, or I think that's what it's going to come down to. So ultimately in this football game, I think I'm going to take Baylor. Last year, if I remember right, the game was won by Oklahoma State won the game. It was in Oklahoma State. And then in the rematch in a neutral site in the bowl game, Baylor beat Oklahoma State. But remember, that was the game where Oklahoma State had the ball and they tried to dive for the pile at the end of the game. It looked like they could have potentially got the game-winning touchdown, but the Baylor player just made a really good tackle on there. That's probably one of the top moments towards the end of last year. So that was a very good game. And this, it always seems when these two teams hook up, it's always a very good matchup. And I'm going to go with Baylor to, handle business at home. I'm not really impressed with Oklahoma State's defense. They got a lot to clean up on that side of the ball. And I think Baylor's going to make enough plays on offense and, get a couple of key sacks, maybe a key turnover on defense. And ultimately, I think they win this football game, probably say 37-31. I think Oklahoma State's offense will put some points up on the board. From a bet standpoint, I might be inclined to play the over-unders. I think, both teams could potentially score in the 30s. And that break over the 56.5. So if you're playing from a bet standpoint, maybe consider playing the over in the game. But that's my